Good afternoon. My name is Susan and I'm here for Aaron Public Library, and we're going to do another episode of Crafting at Home. Today we're going to be making a decorated oil jar, just a couple simple supplies, and I'll show you how we're going to do that. The supplies we're going to be using this afternoon include 2 stems of spring flowers, an oil jar, a clip with a little chalkboard decoration on it, twine, a couple of different stickers, tape. I have some white colored pencils. I have ribbon. These are foam squares for making things look 3D. Regular scissors, scissors with a decorated edge, and a couple of different varieties of striped cardstock or scrapbook paper. Now I selected striped because I like how it looks on a long surface like an oil jar. You certainly do not have to use striped. You can use whatever pattern you wish. Now to begin with, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get the twine on the jar. So the twine that I'm going to use today, twine comes in a variety of colors. You can get it in a plain brown, you can get it in a striped color like this. Something like this is often called baker's twine. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it around the neck of the jar. Now to get this on the jar, I'm going to take a piece of twine and run it the length of the neck of the jar. And I'm just going to take a regular piece of tape to hold it down. And I'm going to put that tape up close to the top of the jar so that it holds it tight when I start. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to hold that with my thumb and I'm just going to go around the neck of the jar, going over the tape, trying to hold it as tightly as I can. I'm going to be honest with you, I was surprised at how easy this was to do. Never done it before. I selected this color, the orange and the white, because it's going to complement the paper and the stickers that I'm going to use eventually. Now every once in a while you do want to stop and just push the whole thing up as you go around the neck of the jar so that it's a tight fit and you don't see any empty space in there. This is not going to take long to do. If we're doing this on a wine jar or something like that had a longer neck, it would of course take longer. And again, I'm going to push it up a little. We're about halfway done. If you look at the jar that I did for the display, on that one I used the green and the white ribbon because I selected a paper that had a lot of green shades in it. And I also used a green ribbon. Almost done. I think the one thing I neglected to tell you is you do want to start on what you decide is the back of your jar, because you're either going to have to use tape, which is all I'm going to use today. Eventually I would put hot glue on there. And you want that on the back where it's going to be less noticeable. I think we're good. So I'm going to hold that with my finger. Actually, I'm going to back off a little because I don't want that to be so long. Back towards that curve in the jar. I'm going to trim it really tight, really close up. I'm going to put that down in the position and kind of if I were going around, and I'm going to take another piece of tape. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to pull it up like this so it's on an angle, and then I'm going to tape it down. Now later on, if you want to, you can take the tape off, hold it tight, and go back over it with hot glue. Okay, this wasn't exactly flat, so I'm just going to smooth it out with my finger. And we have the twine all the way around the neck of the jar, and that orange color is what I'm going to be accenting. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put paper on the jar. Now, the piece of paper that you see on the original jar is 8 inches by 3.5 inches. And that will be just enough to cover the jar and give you a surface to tape. Now, the reason I did this is a plain piece of paper, and there happens to be ink on the other side, on the back side, which you can see through the jar. So you want to make sure that whatever paper you take, if there are marks on the back, you want that one to be on the top versus on the bottom when you put it on the jar, so that people won't be able to see that ink through the jar. So it's still there. I've just dealt with it so you can't see it. Now, this piece of paper I cut with the decorated scissors. You could just as easily put a plain piece of paper. This is, again, 8 inches to go around the jar and 3.5 inches wide. You could do that. That's what this size is. The size on the jar that's already finished is the same size, but I cut the paper to match the design on the jar. So you'll notice there are points around it because that's the design on the paper. Now, the paper that I actually selected to go on this jar, because I want to accent that orange, looks like this. Now, this is double-sided cardstock. There's this pattern on one side and this pattern on the other. What I did was I took, again, 8 inches by 3.5 inches. I cut a decorated edge top and bottom, and then to get this, all I did was take this edge and fold it over. And that's how you get that double pattern. Once I had it folded over, I just creased it a couple times to make sure it would lay flat. And that's how I created a double pattern paper. Now, by doing this, because I did this, if I undo it, you can see that it's, again, 8 inches by 3.5. By doing this, I do get that nice double pattern, but the paper is a lot more narrow than on our original, and that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if this oil jar said vinegar or oil or dressing, and you had to cover that up, then you might not be able to do this, or you'd have to cut it a little bit wider. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place this on here in the center. I'm going to lay it flat. I'm going to pull this around tight, and I'm going to tape it down. I'm just using regular tape. I'm going to pull this over here. And I'm going to tape it down. Now, you can go back over this later with hot glue. Now notice, because it's taped down on the jar and it's nice and tight, I did not tape down or glue down this decorated edge. Having it tight on the jar will hold the edge down for you without having to bother trying to use a double-sided tape or glue there. Now, on the original jar, what I did was I took a piece of coordinating ribbon. This had green in it. I took a green ribbon. This is a little bit bigger than 8 inches, probably about 9. Because I needed to lap over in the back. I could take this yellow ribbon, which kind of goes with it, and I could do that here. And then I could take my little foam square, which is what I did here, so that the bird appears to be 3D. But I'm going to do something a little bit different with this jar. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay it flat so I see the front of the jar. This is the front, because all of my tape or hot glue is back here. So this is the front of the jar. I'm going to take a sticker. This is just a round sticker. And if you don't happen to have stickers, a circle of solid cardstock, construction paper, anything like that would work. I'm going to put it in the center of my paper. It's going to lay flat. It's not going to have the 3D effect. But then what I'm going to do is I am going to take a butterfly sticker and I'm going to put it on top so I get the benefits of the colors of the butterfly plus the benefit of the yellow sticker underneath. So that's where I am at this point. So all this is, these are 2 stickers just on top of a cardstock ribbon or band that goes around the jar. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 2 stems of spring flowers. Now in the original project, I just used a white flower and this is just 1 stem. I'm going to put 2 stems in this one, and what I'm going to do, I pushed all the leaves up so that they wouldn't get in the way, because the neck on these jars is pretty narrow, which is a good thing because it holds everything in place. You don't have to worry about things flopping around. I'm going to push it down as far as I can. Now these are wired stems, so you can pull them out a little, fan them out so that you can see the flowers better. And the next thing I'm going to do, the final thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to take this little chalkboard decoration, has a clip on the back, and I'm going to attach it to my project. Now there are a couple things you can do here. You can just open the clip and clip it to the front of the jar. Now it will be a tight fit because of all the stems that you have in there. You could do it this way. You can, excuse me, I'm going to take this off. You can take it and attach it to one of the stems of the flowers. And in that case, you can actually put it on an angle. Now, you can take these little chalkboard designs, and they can be written on. You do have to have a special marker. I've tried a couple things and I couldn't get it to work very well. So you can use, what I did find that would work are white colored pencils will work. Now probably markers don't work as well because of course these are not expensive chalkboards. These are just little decorations that are used for parties. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to take this back off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these colored stickers, and I already used a gold, so I think I'll take the green. I'll take the green. And I'm going to put this on the little chalkboard, just in the center. And then I'm going to take one of the word stickers off of here, and I'm going to put that on top. And then I'm going to stick it back onto one of my flower stems. Easier said than done when you can't see what you're doing. Do a little rearranging of the flowers here. Oops. And there you go. We're going to have 2 decorated yet different oil jars. Enjoy.